This is The Dig on the Huskers Radio Network podcast. Powered by Emeritus. Featuring Nebraska Volleyball assistant coach Kelly Natter. Here's your host, Jessica Coody.
Welcome back. It's time for another episode of The Dig, which is powered by Emeritus, and we welcome back Kelly Natter. Thank you for being here.
How's it going today?
Another crazy good weekend for you guys. 2 more sweeps. You just keep piling them on. How did you guys assess the weekend?
It was a really good weekend, and anytime you go to the field house in Madison, you don't know how the match is going to go, and no matter how prepared you are or how good they are or who's playing for them, you always know it's going to be a dogfight. So I think we started off pretty strong, and our defense was amazing. Terraya Sigler was all over the court and just getting absolutely everything up. So I think we went into a tough environment, set the tone, and I think that's something our team has been doing all year is forcing teams to play bad against us or to play in a different way than they want to play, just because we come out strong and we set the tone.
What was the atmosphere like? How would you evaluate the Halloween costumes and just the overall atmosphere?
It's always incredibly loud in there, just the way it's designed and where the speakers are, and their fans are amazing. They all run in about 90 minutes before the match, and because it's general admission seating. So it's a very dedicated and committed fan base, but I think just with Halloween, the student section was bumping, and they always have some fun chants and cheers, and they get really loud, and their band is also phenomenal. It's right by their student section and right by our bench where we start, so we're there for at least 2 sets, and it was just loud. That's the only way I know how to accurately describe the field house is very loud.
40 sets in a row that you've won, 13 straight sweeps. Do you ever just sit on the bench and just kind of in awe of what this team is doing?
Definitely. I think early on it was kind of, all right, quick matches, we're playing really great. And then I think we've kind of seen not complacency, but just less of that sense of urgency from the start. But the second we kind of talk to them about that and talk about some maybe tips falling or miscommunication or whatever, they make a really great, really quick change. So I think it's been really good, and we haven't had that moment where we kind of drop a set because we're not focused. And I think that is what's so impressive with this team is the Big Ten's great. I think we've seen all year that anyone can beat anyone. And so for us to really control our side of the court and stay focused over such a long period of time is great.
When those in-match adjustments are being made, who are kind of the players that are kind of recognizing and realizing that some tweaks maybe need to be made with what is going on with the game plan in match?
I think just as a staff, we're kind of always talking about who's on the other side that might be kind of putting a hole in our defense or who is playing for us maybe offensively or defensively not up to standard. And I think the staff we've talked about all year, we're going to need everyone at some point. And then we're also just looking for moments where can we get Manaya some experience, because we think we might need her down the road. And so I think it's a lot of collaboration among the staff and just kind of figuring out, does a change truly need to be made, or do we want to let someone work through some struggles, or is this a tactical matchup and subbing in someone else just makes more sense? So I think there's a lot of collaboration about that, and I think Danny is definitely not afraid to get people experience and make changes. And I think our team understands that there's always a very tactical, defined reason for why we're doing things, not just emotional.
Have y'all found too that players can recognize some things and maybe change up some things in the middle of a situation?
I think so. I think everyone has kind of their tendencies, and we do a really good job scouting and seeing the other team's tendencies. And sometimes teams come out and they don't go to their tendency, or they do something that maybe we didn't prep as hard for, or something we didn't talk as much about. So I think a big thing we're trying to focus on with the team is talking about what's going on the other side. If they move their middle around on an offensive pattern, what's she going to run now? Maybe there's a different play they're trying to accomplish. And so we have really tried to talk to them, especially recently, about if we're in the front row, we should be talking about what the attacker is going to do, where they're going to hit the ball, if they like to tip it in the middle of the court, or if they tip it down the line. Just being very proactive about that from them as a unit rather than only ever hearing it from the coaches. And they've done a really good job at that.
I can tell you how many people have just asked me about this team and just the way it has looked so easy, and I feel like I've learned throughout the process of the season and talking with you guys every week is a lot of times you're challenging different things within a match or a set that it might not always show up other than what we're seeing is just a dominating sweep. But how do you guys go about those challenges within each kind of points of the match? How do you guys identify what those are and what I guess will be best to challenge this team any given night?
I think the biggest thing that we can focus on and control is just our side of the court, and we talk a lot about that. So maybe we're winning the game by 5 or 10 points, whatever it is, but we're not playing super clean on our side. We're still going to bring that up and bring that to their attention, and a lot of times they nod their head right away, yes, we agree. And so I just think they hold themselves to such a high standard, and even sometimes in timeouts, Becca or Bergen or whoever it might be kind of kneels down in front of everyone and will say, hey, we're not playing super clean, or we let their best player hit her favorite shot 6 times or something along those lines, and you're seeing them kind of take ownership over that. And another thing we do before every match is we set 2 or 3 goals just for that match, and it could be something on our side like an ace to error ratio, or we want to keep their best player to a certain attack percentage. And so we have our goal obviously to win the game and our offensive and defensive kind of things that we pride ourselves on, but then each match we set little mini goals, and so I think that keeps everyone really focused too.
No, that's awesome. Well, we've seen obviously the Libero change up between Laney and Olivia, but it seems like they don't miss a beat. Whoever it is just steps right in, and they're kind of embracing whose ever night it might be that they kind of step into it. And it's as much as maybe the outside want to make it a big deal, it just doesn't seem like on the court it's that much of a big deal for those girls.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more of the outside influences, and I know there's posts every game, who gets the Libero jersey and all of that, but we've just talked about not really even listening to that. And I know Danny has said multiple times in press conferences that they're both starting and they're both a unit, and we talk about that a lot, is that we are better with both of you on the court in any capacity. So it's not about who's necessarily wearing the jersey, and that can change. The same with any of our subs, where it's a little bit more tactical or strategic or matchup wise, and they fully understand that it could change at any minute. But the nice thing is that we practice and we mix teams, and I know I've talked about that a lot, but Liv's getting reps at left back, Liv's getting reps at right back, Laney's getting reps in both left and right, and the same with all of our littles and DSs. They play middle back sometimes. So I think it's just so mixed up in practice, and everyone's doing everything that no matter where they are or who they're next to, no one really skips a beat.
Are there instances to where one might be better in a matchup than against an opposing team, and another might be better against a different team?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've talked kind of at length about like Liv and Laney and their strengths and their how they're basically complete opposites, whereas Liv's a really solid passer, Laney's a phenomenal defender, and so I think depending on the matchup, maybe there's a team that serves really, really tough, and Liv might be better to be on the court for 6 rotations versus 3. And then there's a team, for example, Wisconsin. Mimi Collier is an amazing attacker, so we need Laney at left back more often. And so I think it kind of just depends on those matchups and just who we're playing, and are they truly good enough to where we need to change our side of the court. And I think that's a big thing we pride ourselves on, is that we are solid on our side. It doesn't matter who we're playing to a certain extent. Yes, there are those matchups, but if we can handle ourselves and play Nebraska volleyball, then those matchups might not even matter as much.
Coach Cook was on the call for us on Friday night, and he was talking about that, just those two when they're on the court together. How daunting is that for an opposing team?
Yeah, when they're both back there passing, and then you add in, usually it's Harper out there who is passing amazing this year. I wouldn't know where to serve. I would just try and go back there and hit my best serve and hit it as hard as I can. And I do think that's what teams are doing. And I mean, if you watched Wisconsin, you saw them absolutely bombing some serves, and Oregon had 2 jump servers. And I think it's kind of a men's volleyball strategy when you play us, because we are so offensive. I have to serve it really hard to get them out of system. Otherwise, if they're in system, they're going to win the point. So I think we're going to see, especially with the teams coming up, a lot of really, really good servers, and that'll be a good challenge for us.
You mentioned Terraya Sigler in the Open when we were chatting. 14 digs, which led the team. First time in her career she led the team in digs, and Danny had said that she really set the tone. What was it about that matchup and what she did against Wisconsin that allowed for that kind of performance?
I think, first of all, she was just in great spots, and a lot of defense is reading the game and being in the right spot, expecting the ball to come to you. And I think sometimes there's games where defenders, they look a step late, but I think the way she was seeing the game and reading where our block was and what the attacker's tendencies are, she was basically in the perfect spot every single time. So we always say the best defenders kind of make it look easy because they're reading the game so well. And I think that's what she did, and just Wisconsin came out absolutely bombing and attacking really, really hard. And to be that defensive pressure where it's like, okay, no matter how hard I hit the ball or if I put it in the perfect spot, they're still digging me. It's very frustrating and can be suffocating as an attacker. And I think she was just a step ahead of Wisconsin.
How impressive is her ability at that as just a freshman? Is that sometimes maybe an area that freshmen have to come in and really work at?
I would say so, just because the speed of the game and the more physical players, older players that can hit harder and hit even better shots. I think that's one of the big things that when freshmen get to college that they struggle with. And I think it's kind of similar to passing as well, just with the level of the serves and how quick the game is. But I think defensively, blocking and floor defense is a really big jump that a lot of players have to make. But T has worked super hard with extra reps, whether it be passing or defense-wise. And she, even in the summer, was in the gym extra and just always prides herself on going in to get extra reps. So I think her hard work made that adjustment really quick.
All right, so I of course have got to ask you about Bergen. She's the Big Ten Setter of the Week, and we saw the comments from Kelly Sheffield saying she's the best player in the conference. Again, she's getting a lot of notoriety right now. What is it about what she's doing this season that is so impressive and so difficult?
I think for her, because we have such amazing attackers at every position, it could be very easy to just say, well, she's got great attackers, that's why she's a great setter. And I think that can be true to a certain extent, but for me, it's just her decision making, and she's very cerebral, especially when it comes to our offense versus a specific defense and how do we want to exploit them. And I think she just doesn't always make the easy set or the predictable set. And I think this year more than last year in her freshman year, her range is expanded. A lot of setters, once they come off to the 10-foot line or they run forward or behind, they're very patterned. And that's something we kind of take a look at too, is when we are beyond the 10-foot line, are you always setting the left side, or are you forcing it to the middle or setting your opposite? And I think she could truly just set any ball from anywhere. And that's huge, so that you don't become so patterned, especially in our offense where we could go left side every single time if we wanted to. And Harper has been playing absolutely amazing. T and Taylor has been awesome lately. So we could just do that. But it's finding ways to get your middle and your opposite and your back row involved. And that involves some creativity and some fearlessness. And I think we're seeing more of that from her.
I was going to say, can you have tendencies as a setter that, okay, if something's working, I want to go back to that? I mean, do you have to kind of work through and be conscious of, I'm not going to just go back to what's working and continue to spread it around, because that is ultimately what makes Nebraska so dangerous, right?
I think there's ebbs and flows of offense for sure, and there definitely are matches where you can tell it's like, okay, I need a kill, I'm going to set my go-to player as a setter, and it comes and goes, and then a new set starts, and maybe you go back to what your original game plan is. But at the end of the day, your job is to help people kill the ball, and if someone's on fire, you might feed them a little bit more. But I think the cool thing about her is that she can feel those things, and then Danny or myself will give her feedback like, okay, we've gone left side a lot, let's get the middle more involved. And then you'll see her run off to the 12-foot line and throw it into the middle, and there's almost no block. It's really cool to watch. It's not like she is thinking, okay, I have to set the middle this next ball no matter what. It's more of I have to get back to what is the core of our offense, and then it just opens up everything else. But it's definitely a feeling and a flow, and the more stressed you are, the more you kind of go back to maybe what your tendencies are, what's comfortable, or a lot of times that's just setting the left side, as we all kind of know. But I think that, yeah, she just takes that feedback and she really implements it almost right away, and she's not scared to do so.
Does that just come with time? Is that just because this is her third season, or what has gone into that for her to be like that?
Yeah, I think it's confidence and just feeling. Obviously, it takes a lot of reps of setting these plays that you might not normally set. So the reps go behind it, but I think it's just confidence and knowing that if I throw it in there and I don't maybe make the most perfect set, I know my attackers have my back, and they're also really good attackers, so they can do something with it. So I think there's a little bit of kind of younger or maybe more immature setters are just, I have to put the ball exactly where it's supposed to go. And that's very basic level of what setting is. But I think as the years have gone by and as she's gained more confidence and just gotten even more fearless, it's more about how am I affecting the other side, not just am I setting a hittable ball.
What does that say that the head coach at Wisconsin has said that she's the best player, not just the best setter, but the best player in the conference?
Yeah, I think that's huge. Just because, like I said, you could easily say you don't have to be that good of a setter to set our attackers, right? But I think for a really established coach, one of our rivals, to come out and say that she's the best player, I mean, I, of course, believe that as well. But I think it's a great person and very highly respected coach, and I think just him saying that like really puts Bergen on the map, because we have so many good attackers. It's really hard to give her a lot of the glory.
Yeah, I mean, and you could pick 5 players from this team that could be the best player in the conference.
True.
I mean, to be honest. So Coach Cook, again, going back to some of the things he said in the broadcast, he said she's the best defensive setter in the country. Why is she the best defensive setter in the country?
I think she just reads the game really well, similar to how we were talking about with T. And a lot of setters are too worried about setting rather than, okay, I need to get back and see the attackers and get ready to dig. And they're just worried about, all right, who am I going to set on the next ball, or getting in position to set for the next ball. So I think the biggest thing is she's just always in great spots. She's never lazy back there. And there's a saying that setters don't play defense. And I think to a certain extent that's kind of common. And like I said, they're just worried about running their offense. But she's in great spots. I think she sees the game well, and she just reacts and goes for everything. And I think that's, the biggest thing about defense in general is, are you seeing the game and are you just going? I think a lot of times some players won't go for balls because they don't think they'll get them, but you never know unless you go. And she's just always ready to pursue anything.
It also seems like when she does have to make the pass or is getting a dig, that it doesn't break down everything else. Like, it just still seems like it's pretty smooth. That's also not really easy either, that she probably has trust in other people to make the set, right?
Yeah, we work a lot on out-of-system setting, whether it's from the Liberos or DSs or our middles or our back row outsides, just because we are lucky to be pretty in system because we pass really, really well. But I think a lot of volleyball happens out of system or kind of medium, not ideal situations. So we just practice that a ton, and we do a lot of drills where we even tell the Liberos, you can't set the ball. The outsides or the middles have to set it. And so we do a lot of that, whether it's to warm up or mixed in with our 6-on-6. And we want every single person on our team comfortable setting the ball if it comes to them, because John always said that there's always going to be a big play in a big match where a middle is going to have to set a ball. So we need to be able to set it. And I think a lot of our middles would be fine in those situations, and everyone on our team.
We've seen it, and Rebecca gets, I think, more fired up about a set than she does anything else that she does on the court.
I agree with that. And there's times when she sets the ball and like Danny and I look at each other and we're like, is she the best out-of-system setter on our team? And I think she said that in a presser at one point. But it's funny, we kind of make the joke that Becca will throw elbows to go take the set. But we're like, it's perfect. Let her take it. It's great.
That's awesome. She was pretty fired up. She played well against Wisconsin, too.
Yeah, they had some she always comes out during warm-ups, and when the setters are about to go, she kind of just hangs out on the court. But they had some trivia, and some of the questions, it was all Nebraska-Wisconsin trivia, and it was, what was the year that they went on a 10-game winning streak and all these things, and she was like, this just got personal. And then she was really fired up after that. So they might have ticked off Rebecca Alec.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so back to Bergen, and another thing that kind of got brought up was that Virginia Adriano, Coach Cook said maybe she looked nervous getting going and then ended up settling in. And both Danny and Cook said that maybe she wasn't getting the best sets, and then that got better. So take us through when that happens in a match or a set, and you're maybe not setting the best to one player, how you make that kind of adjustment.
Yeah, so part of our game plan was to, when we're not in perfect situations, like not only set the left side, so throw in the quicks and set the right side and set our opposite Virginia. And so I think that's a great game plan going in, and we could see how that can put some holes in their defense. But it just wasn't working for us, like you said, and Danny and John said that maybe our sets weren't as good. So the conversations that we had were, okay, if we get a couple perfect digs, perfect passes, let's give Virginia a couple balls, help her build her confidence in some really great situations, and then we can kind of come back to it, whether it be medium system or maybe just missed sets. She'll feel a little bit more comfortable attacking those. And so that's kind of part of the whole beauty of offense is, if it's not working, then what do you do? And I think there was great conversations with Bergen, and it was just let's get her a couple in-system balls, gain that confidence, and then we can start forcing it a little bit more again.
So it wasn't just, a miss kind of connection. It was a game plan that was, when it was not in system, that it just didn't allow for Virginia to kind of get into a rhythm.
Yeah, I would say that, but of course, sometimes the sets aren't great either in those situations. And so I think there were a couple less than ideal sets for Virginia, even if we were kind of in our medium or less than perfect pass situation. And so part of that is for Bergen too, just, hey, we're not really nailing that set. Let's go to something that works and then try again later. So I think it's very difficult to understand all the different reasons why behind you do something. But I think the plan of let's just go away from it and then come back is kind of what we talked about earlier when it comes to offense, just finding what's working and then continuing to work on what might not be.
Over the last 3 seasons, we've talked a lot about just building that connection and chemistry and knowing your hitters and where they like to be set. And do you recognize, does Bergen recognize when she misses maybe a little bit for a certain hitter in the moment? Oh, I that's not exactly where she likes it.
Yeah, 100%. I think most setters kind of know right when they set the ball, ooh, that was inside, or maybe that was too fast for her. I think it's pretty easy to tell, especially now at this point in the season. And Bergen's been setting the same people for a couple years now. Virginia's new, T is new, but I think she knows almost immediately.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this week, kids. So Illinois Thursday, kind of a little bit of random, I feel like, to play on a Thursday night.
Yeah, this whole schedule all year long, it's Friday, Sunday, Thursday, Saturday. I never even know what day it is anymore.
So tell us about Illinois. What does this matchup look like for you guys back at home?
So they have a former Nebraska assistant as their head coach, and we're all great friends with Chris. Always excited when he comes back in town, and Jen, his wife. But Illinois is just a team that always goes for it, whether it's from the service line or attacking wise. They always are going for it, and they're never afraid. So I think that's a really great mentality for them, especially coming into Devaney. But they've got a new setter, but she's very athletic, can fire the ball around, and they've got pretty good tempo all across the board. So defensively will be a good match, and she's also a very offensive setter. So anytime a setter's offensive, we kind of have to talk about it and put some air into that situation. But she can turn and attack, turn and dump, block, do everything. And so I think they'll be a very fiery team, and they're going to come in here just attacking right from the get-go.
And then at Minnesota, and I know y'all take it, one at a time, but that's never an easy place to play either, right?
Yeah, another small gym with a lot of people, always full, but they're kind of similar to Illinois in the fact that they are going to serve very, very tough. They're going to come out in their home gym and feeling that kind of confidence. And they've played so many close matches, so many five-setters, and I think they're probably very hungry to get that big win because they've been super close a lot of times this season already.
Okay, so I have a fun one for you. We were talking earlier about you maybe get into a situation where it's who I want to go to in a kind of panic or chaotic situation. Who was that for you?
Oh, gosh. Probably Fecky.
Yeah.
I mean, I played with her for 3 years. And so I love to spread the offense around and find everyone, and I love like setting the middle a ton, but when you needed to kill, it was Michaela Fecky all the way.
Yeah. Well, I guess that was a pretty good one, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Hey, we honored a couple of the alumni that went into the Hall of Fame and 2 incredible players. Just how important is that? I mean, when you kind of go back and think about all the great players and what was accomplished here before that kind of laid a lot of the foundation for what's being done today. How important is that to continue to remember that? I mean, you're an alum too, but there's so many incredible alumni throughout the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah, for us, tradition is everything, and just honoring everyone that came before us has always been a piece of Nebraska volleyball. And Terry Pettit was actually at our practice, whatever day it was. I told you I don't remember the days anymore, but he was at our practice, just said a few words of how he was impressed with our team. But even seeing the former head coach of Nebraska volleyball and him traveling here and talking to our team is really cool. And I think every year we try and honor what Nebraska volleyball was when it first started, and all of these records we've broken, and the way we've kind of changed the game for a lot of different schools as well in other sports it's due to all those people who built it. And I think it's really special that we're able to honor that and have this alumni presence that wants to come back. I'm sure there's schools where people don't care to come back, and we're one where everyone loves to come back here, and it's a lot of fun for our current players to meet former players and vice versa.
What did Coach Pettit think of those legendary practices?
Gosh, he just said, he talked to us before practice, I think it was our serve and pass, but he just said he was super impressed with how composed we are and how just unbothered we kind of are, and we never get up too high, never get down too low, and he kind of said we're a pretty mature team.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good takeaway. All right, well, good stuff. Appreciate your time, and best of luck coming up this weekend.
Thank you.
Kelly Natter here with us on The Dig. Emeritus is proud to power The Dig and all of Husker women's sports. Thanks for listening and watching, and as always, make sure you subscribe and like wherever you listen to never miss an episode right here on the Huskers Radio Network podcast.